Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, January 24th, 2018. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director. Filling in for Joanne this week is Zach. And on my immediate right, my good pal, the Duke. And on my far right, Super Dave. And we'll start football now.
Just want to mention, Joanne, you may well know this, but just condolences. Joanne lost her dad just within the last week or two, which is why we're not seeing her.
Okay, I did not know that.
I just got that word. I talked to Elizabeth yesterday and just got that word.
Oh, okay.
I think we knew he wasn't doing well. Anyway. But
what state?
Thinking of you. I think her folks live in Schenectady of Union College. Kevin Snedden's old clumping ground. What's the word? Whatever.
Yeah. So,
anyway.
Okay, well, I'll definitely make sure I send her a card. So, Duke, we'll start with football. The New England Patriots.
Guess who didn't see the Final Four game involving his Patriots?
You didn't see the game?
I was bartending. I wasn't too far from the TV. I was bartending in 1906, and I was under strict orders to pay attention to the customers. Ian wandered in. Not that he could care. He wandered in with the score, and boy, it sounded like. So anyway.
David, all I can say, and since you're an old hockey coach, the Jags played a terrific first half and played scared the second half.
Yeah, sounds like it.
So very simply, David, as a coach, when you're in the third period, when you're up 1 goal, don't you always tell the players, now you play like you're behind 1 goal? Because when you sit on a lead, play on your heels, invariably, this is what's going to happen.
How can you do that? I mean,
that's just human nature.
Well, I think I didn't.
Jags scored 3 points.
Plus the pad sounds like the pads did.
I'm sure they stepped up
better.
I didn't watch the game, but a couple of guys.
Wow. What were you doing?
Let's see. I did go to yoga.
Sunday. It was a 3:05 game.
Yoga's at 4, so I leave at 3, and I get back about 6:30.
Do you not have a DVR in your residence?
No, and you know what? I wouldn't have taped it. I don't.
Okay.
What about radio? Good old radio.
I listened to the radio for the half hour I was down there. Somebody told me though that the Jaguars get the ball at the end of the first half with about almost a minute.
They took
a knee.
How can that's insane?
And
I heard that.
You know what you got to do when you get a team like the Patriots is you really got to step on their neck and crush them when you get a chance.
As Atlanta seems so poised to do, and for the lack of that late field goal and stuff, they would have won the game.
And David, you're so true. More than any team in our lifetime, that you have to stick a stake through their heart. The Patriots, you don't need to look any further back than 11 and a half months ago when we're watching the second half of the Super Bowl.
28-3.
Right.
And they come back and win that. And Jacksonville's just ahead by, 10 points?
The Patriots, Bill Belichick will go down as the best coach in the history of football.
Oh, yeah. In sports, period. I really believe in all the sports.
Really?
Yeah, I do believe that.
Speaking of which, there's 30 for 30 coming up, which you're probably aware of.
About the only good thing.
Parcells. That should be pretty
Bill Parcells, I'll watch that.
February 1st is the premiere show on ESPN.
On the negative side, Tom Brady in a press conference late in the week acted like a little snot. I really felt like grabbing him by the collar and just giving him a good whack.
One day he wouldn't talk about his finger at all. Or?
It was a nothing burger story. Is what essentially. What it was.
Although 12 stitches doesn't quite strike me as
12 stitches
nothing.
is a lot.
Right.
That's
but of course, that begged the question. I mean, hearing some of the sports talk folks, he got jammed. I guess it was Burkhead.
Yeah.
But he said, my thumb got pushed back or something. How does that explain how it was cut?
Because Duke, they didn't explain anything. And during that press conference, the reporters were just asking basic questions, and he acted like Bill Belichick's spoiled son. And it was very disheartening to me because I always had good words for Brady.
Yeah. But he's usually very civil and stuff, but he still will give you nothing more than he wants to give you.
The reporters that follow the New England Patriots, what they ought to be getting hazardous duty pay, because Bill Belichick gives them nothing.
Yeah. Typically, right.
And they've got all the players. The players all give the company line, too. Yeah. Now, the team play great and all this.
This would seem to be a winning formula, as opposed to Pittsburgh. I mean, even Tomlin making noise months ago about we'll see the Pats in the AFC Championship game. So I hear you. If you're a reporter, man, you get nothing out of it.
You get nothing out of the
I'll tell you,
Patriots.
If you're a Patriots fan, what you get are Super Bowls.
Another
That's right.
smart-ass coach who's just very disrespectful towards the media is Greg Popovich from the San Antonio Spurs.
Again, another hugely successful
One
coach
of the all-time great, top 3 all-time great coaches in the NBA.
Now, see, Parcells, I always thought handled the media great, and I think they really liked it. And but
he would. I mean, he could be tough, but he would tend to give them something.
If you asked him a stupid question, he'd give you a smart-ass answer. But Parcells was great to me. But Belichick, I think he's got a lot more personality. But when he gets in front of the press, he gives them nothing.
I mean, every once in a while it shows. I mean, his football history. I mean, of course, his dad was a longtime coach at Navy and stuff. If you get him going, I mean, he's an incredible student of football history. Every once in a while he'll go, but most of the time, especially after a loss. I mean, how painful are his press? One-word answers nothing. I mean, they are painful.
Yeah. It's awful. How is this the worst possible Super Bowl for New York fans? You've got the most hated team that the Jets hate, the Patriots, against a team that there's no team the Giants hate more than the Eagles.
You're absolutely right.
And the Eagles are really.
Not to mention the Eagles fans aren't exactly. Hawk, haven't you caught a Giants game in Philly before?
I've been at Lincoln Field before.
Did you wear your Giants jersey and you came out? You got out alive?
Yeah, I was wearing my Jeremy Shockey jersey, going through the parking lot. And I heard more F-bombs.
There.
Okay.
I'm glad that's all you got.
And they were serious, okay?
They are.
And my buddy is, Rick, just keep walking. Don't look at him. Just keep walking. Well, go to that Giant game. Giants score first, go up 7-0. David, I'm too old to be obnoxious anymore. It used to be my MO, but I just stood up and cheered. And a guy about 5 rows beyond me, you sit down right now before I rip your effing head off. And he was not kidding. My buddy goes, Rick,
I bet he
sit
wasn't
down.
kidding.
He says, we're too old, we're too fat to get involved.
The Eagles fans are without a doubt the worst of the worst.
They literally have a courtroom right in Lincoln Field.
Is that right? So this begs the question, do you want anybody to win the Super Bowl? Do you
Patriots. I couldn't. I'd take the
Patriots
Patriots all day over the Eagles.
Is that right? What about you, Hawk? Do you care?
I like Carson Wentz a lot.
Yeah.
However, I do like Cinderella stories.
Yeah.
Nick Foles is a definite Cinderella story. So I'm going to give you the vanilla answer of entertain me.
Yeah.
Okay. I will record the game at 6:30, probably start watching it around 10 o'clock, but just entertain me. Like that Falcon game last year. It was like, what in the hell? Wouldn't you guys even show up? And I said this.
Just glad I just didn't walk away at that.
Right, it's the last game of the year. That was the only reason I said, I'm going to just sit through this game.
You hung in there?
I hung in there just, because I'm not going to see a real game until September.
That game is still unbelievable.
I still watched it, right. And after, even days after, I still couldn't believe what I had seen.
Remember what I brought back from Florida, where I usually am?
where the Patriots lost.
The Boston Globe, an early edition of the Globe. I don't think it said lost, but it basically, whatever the headline was.
It was Dewey meets Truman.
I think the front page picture, was Brady when he threw the terrible pick. And the guy ran it back, and he made kind of a helpless. I think it showed him just in the dirt, but.
And I will say this, and nothing against the Patriots. They just play the scheduled games, but. This might be the easiest ride ever to get.
You're not going to again. Should I recall what you were telling me? Weren't you telling me that the Jacksonville game would be a walk in the park? Didn't you tell me that, or am I incorrect? I would say walk in the park.
However, I did say take the points or give the points, Patriot fans, and go with that.
And the Jags, I'm always concerned. I don't think I'm concerned about the Eagles.
But the Jags played great for 30 minutes and didn't show. They played scared.
I don't think the Eagles. I don't know. I just don't think they're that good.
But the defense sounds like it's.
But of course, I'm tainted. I hate the Eagles.
Right. But let's also
the defense. I'm concerned that it may be another Giants with their front guys just getting in on Brady like your guys did 2 times.
Well,
justice to me has been served. Number 1 seed in the American was New England. Number 1 in the National was Philadelphia. So if Carson Wentz was playing, I'd be beating you up right now. You and I would be going.
Hey,
at it
Foles
right
played
now.
pretty well.
Foles played excellent.
I watched.
last
Now,
week.
see, I watched a little bit of that game.
I mean, beating me up, saying that you'd be so
I'm-
confident about the Eagles, or we're just really wanting him to win.
Because Brady probably will get MVP. If Wentz did not go down, he would have got my MVP vote.
Yeah.
He's such a good. He's a clone of Ben Roethlisberger. Is the way I look at Wentz. And Philadelphia is in a very good position for the next.
Hawk, what about this point? Of course, I'm used to this being a Dookie. I can go back to the winter, the half winter I spent on the Outer Banks when the Dukies won whatever third or fourth national championship. Then Duke and my local paper on the Outer Banks was the Virginian Pilot.
Is that the early '90s?
No, 2001 in fact. After
Because you left the radio station.
91 and 92 is when I left. Right, this is a winter after I just left the radio station.
You left the radio station.
Christmas
I said,
to Christmas
I'm
2000.
never going to see my Duke again.
No, you saw me.
And lo and behold,
But what I was running into down there, as I always run into, Duke gets all the calls, and you're certainly hearing that about the Patriots. And even so, is there something to? Again, you're not saying you're not going to tell me the Pats didn't deserve to win the game, that the refs gave them the game, are you? But I'm hearing that. The last game.
No.
But I'm hearing that so much. Patriots get all the. Hey, we have a call that I'm just happening to notice.
Okay. Good evening. You're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
How we doing, guys?
Hey,
Hi,
how
caller.
you doing?
Good. About football, I think Philadelphia's going to win. And why I say that, they're tough on both sides of the ball. And I think they played a much tougher schedule this year. And taking nothing against the Patriots, the two best teams are in it. But in that division, Philadelphia has to play Dallas twice, play Giants a couple times. They went through that division. Then they played the Rams, which won their division. 49ers, which won the last 6 games. They played Seattle Seahawks. So Philadelphia, 2/3 of their season, I mean, they played playoff contenders, and they fared well. And when Wentz went down, Foles picked it up, and they didn't lose a beat. So they have a lot of big players, a lot of big plays, and taking nothing away against the Patriots, I just don't think that Philadelphia has the type of defense that will fold late in the game. It should be an evenly matched game. If I was an odd maker, I put it even. But I kind of give the edge to Philadelphia just because of the schedule they played this year. But don't get me wrong, I won't be surprised at all if New England wins. I mean, they're a great team and all, but I think people are taking Philadelphia a little bit too lightly.
You can be sure, Bobby. I'm not. I hear you. It sounds like they're a very good team, and I'm, as a Patriots guy, especially concerned about their defense and those guys getting in on Brady and stuff. Obviously, one of the keys is Foles, who, if Foles has probably got to play a pretty good game, and he's capable of doing that, but he's probably no lock to play a good game. We'll see. He's obviously one of the keys.
First thing to say is they're playing indoors, 72 degrees, so it's perfect conditions. Now, before our caller just called, I was in fact going to ask you, the spread is 5 points. What your guys' feeling? So I thought it would be about a 7.5 point spread.
Is that right? You thought it'd be more?
Yeah, I did.
Well, it depends too on if whether or not Gronk plays too.
Gronk might be like a point or something.
Yeah.
I guess not
Gronk,
clear at this point.
If Gronk is good enough to play,
but thank you, Dan.
That helps.
Thank you, Mr. Amendola, for coming through with a huge game with especially Julian Edelman, the ghost of Edelman.
Yeah. So, caller, I hope you're right. As I told these guys, I just need to be thoroughly entertained during the game. And David's right.
I think you should be. And I do like both teams in the Super Bowl are, in my opinion, only the best of the AFC and the best of the NFC. Minnesota had a great year, but Philadelphia can force mistakes, and every time you make a mistake, they capitalized on it. Foles, did you see the rating? I didn't see it, but I read the rating he had after the game, what was it, 140 or 144?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Just about as good as it could be.
In Minnesota, they had probably the number 1, 2, or 3 defense this year, too. And
Good
You know,
point.
Philadelphia had no problem with them at all.
And for the record, I took Minnesota to win that game, and so
Yeah.
So, caller,
Hey, who knows?
you're right. I mean, Philadelphia's played good the whole season, and Nick Foles. I mean, there's more to it than just the quarterback position. You know, Foles the Eagles haven't missed a beat since he's come
I
in.
just hope from the Patriots' point of view.
Well,
I
you know
hope
what
that-
I say now after watching Foles, you know, he's been super good with these guys. How good is Wentz, really?
Yeah.
I mean, could you or I get behind that line and shine? You know, it seems like everybody getting behind that center is a number one quarterback in football. I mean, Foles was just flawless every week. He stepped in, and they have not lost a beat.
Yeah.
Hey, Foles is a pretty good quarterback. He was, the MVP or something of the league 2-3 years ago, or close to it.
Is that right?
Yeah,
He
4 or 5
really
years
had, when Chip Kelly's first year, he was really good.
Yeah. Didn't he go to St.
Yeah,
Louis?
you know, and it pays to have your backup quarterback, an experienced quarterback, rather than a second-year player out of the draft. You know, and I read, I forgot what paper it was, but I read where the big thing with Foles was at practices a couple weeks ago, just getting the continuity going with his pass receivers, and you know, it seems like he's pretty much got that in swing. But it should be a real good, like I said, the two best teams are there, so it should be good. And again, if I was the odds maker, I would put that game even. I really would, especially after that big game that Philadelphia had against Minnesota, and New England had an okay game against Jacksonville, you know. So I would have had the odds, the point spread a little tighter, but, you know, what do I know?
I think Vegas loves the Pats. I think just the fact that they're the Patriots, Brady, Belichick gives them like 3 points right there, probably.
I agree.
But yeah, the Globe today.
I remember, I think it was last year, your first Wednesday night after the Super Bowl, I think it was you, Nighthawk, that mentioned the odds for next year, which would be this year's season, of the Patriots winning again.
Yep.
And you had Duke kind of rolling his eyes a little
right.
bit.
You're absolutely right, because I do that
I obviously had
every
New England.
Wednesday after the Super Bowl, and every year he does roll his eyes because it's New England.
I'm used to it. Sure, yeah.
And you know what? Say Philadelphia does happen to win this game in a week and a half.
Which
New
is
England still will
absolutely
be favored
Absolutely.
to win the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so. Yeah,
Well, I'd like to talk a little baseball with you guys, but boy, it's really not much going on.
Well, we got 4 new Hall of Famers tonight.
Like the
got
call.
Vlad. Will Vlad go in as an expo? Hawk, I trust.
Yeah. I just don't see much interest anymore with a Hall of Fame.
I almost didn't. I almost missed that story.
With the PEDs.
We got what? We
Now,
got
did
Vladimir,
Trevor Hoffman make it in, David?
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he did make it.
Hoffman, Jim Tomei, Vladdy Guerrero, and Larry Jones.
Sorry, Larry Jones.
Larry Jones.
No, Chipper Jones. Oh,
Or Larry. Is that
That's his
Larry?
name. It's Larry
When you said
Jones.
Larry Jones, I had no clue who you
No,
were
that's
talking
his
about.
name. It's Larry Jones.
Thank you.
they should take. They
Yeah,
should.
he's a big hunter. I watch him on a lot of hunting shows.
He is.
Larry-
Chipper loves his hunting.
Yeah, and he loves his women too. He was a notorious wife cheater.
Not really.
Oh, can't blame a man for that.
Yeah, he had a different girl in every town.
Sounds like didn't Wade go
Wade
that
Boggs,
route also?
Margot Adams.
Yeah.
He had his own. He was married, but he had his on the road girlfriend.
Not any different than A-Rod. Remember when after they found him in Toronto, the next time they played Boston, they had all the people that were down by the dugout were all holding those faces, those blonde wigs.
Okay.
So baseball players have been notorious. While the cat's away, the mice will play.
Isn't there the famous Babe Ruth story, running through a train naked or something?
Oh, who knows?
Being chased by a woman or something? Maybe it was somebody else.
Baseball's a long season. You're traveling a lot in a lot of hotel rooms. You know?
Yeah, a lot of time on the road.
But you know the funny thing, caller. I know last week we talked about J.D. Martinez and Garrett Cole, blah blah blah, and there's a few really good
weeks.
players.
3 weeks.
However, there are literally 150 free agents on the market right now.
Right,
The Edwin Nunez of the world type players that are good ball
why
players.
haven't the Red Sox grabbed him? Is too much money?
So yeah,
There are that many free agents right now?
oh yeah,
Really?
and I'm going to read a story once we get done with this caller.
I love it. Scott Boras, did I hear today? I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
with J.D. Martinez, I would like him, but like for 3 years maybe. I would pay him a little more yearly, but on a lot shorter contract. These 7-year contracts just doesn't cut it for me, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
You always, the owners, the team always gets burnt. The last, third of, last 25% of the contract, whatever. The player fades, and you're stuck with them. I would rather pay a guy a little bit more each year and have him for a shorter time,
Don't the Red Sox have wasn't it a 5-year, $100 million offer? Is that presumably still on the table
And
for
a few
JD?
days later, they said it was a 5 years, 125.
Yeah.
My only question is, who are the Red Sox competing against?
Funny,
because I've heard nobody.
I think I heard Buster Olney make that same point today, saying, yeah, what's the hurry? I'm the Red Sox. Keep waiting. Nobody else seems to be going after
To the caller's credit here about getting tied up in a long-term contract.
Yeah.
Okay, J.D. Martinez
Why would you even
hit like
think about
30
that?
some odd home runs in half a season with the Diamondbacks last year, and that ballpark down there is notorious for long ball. He loved playing down there, but Zach Greinke's getting $34 million a year on a very long contract. Arizona, I think, missed the playoffs last year by 1 game. Martinez fit right in with that lineup, and they can't even afford to sit down and have coffee with him.
I think I heard Scott Boras complaining. Finally, Scott getting maybe a little concerned. Made a reference that this is like the 1919 Black Sox scandal. That's what I heard he said.
He thinks there's collusion galore.
Too bad, Scott. I feel for you, buddy.
I think the collusion is that they finally have come to their senses.
Maybe a little common sense finally, right.
Because the guys...
Yeah, exactly right.
Because some of the guys are getting good money. The middle relievers have been cashing in. It's the... hey, and if you want to play for decent money, I mean, Darvish, I heard, got a 5-year deal. I bet he was offered 5 years, at least $100 million.
Did he sign? Did Darvish sign?
No.
With
The two teams right now are the Twinkies and the Brewers, which are low-end.
They're desperate. See, they want to do exactly what the Nats did when they signed
Jason Worth.
They know they have to overpay to get a good player.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Robin Cano
Yes.
for the Mariners. He's a very good player. I'd never consider him great, but they overpaid him and gave him so many years that they're drowning.
Well, they
with
gave
that
him $40 million more than the Yankees.
Does he think he's happy he made that move and left New York?
Well, for $40 million,
you ever hear any?
He had his worst season last year.
They have a nice team, Seattle, if the pitching could ever come around with them, because they have a very good hitting team. It's just their pitching that always seems to sting them,
That whole starting 5 last year, I remember at one point, all
on the DL.
All on the DL.
Really?
So, right. So if you want to pick a team for this upcoming year, come out of the woodwork, Seattle would be a good pick.
But they...
okay, I'll let you guys go. Great show, and have a good night,
Thank
guys.
you, caller.
Thanks a lot. See ya.
No, these guys are not going to be getting, because these 7-year deals, like the last 2 7-year deals,
That's insane.
the outfielders got were both poison, which was our guy with the Yankees, Ellsbury, and then who was the other guy?
Well, of course, Mr. Pujols. So I mean, a very good player.
No, well, it could have been the guy that signed with the Cubs. Justin Hayward.
Oh, he signed.
Was that how many years?
That was like an 8-year, 7-year.
I think
really?
Duke, and I'm too ill to use my calculator head. 7 years, 184.
Yeah.
Is what I think he. I think he's averaging $24 million a year. He hit around 255, and not only that, Duke, He's wherever he lives, he's working with a batting coach with that kind of money to try to find his swing.
Really?
But the guys aren't. I don't think the teams mind paying. I got a feeling Manny Machado and Bryce Harper are going to get their money.
Yeah. Now, this article is by Mark Zuckerman, writes on one of the Nationals, not newspaper, but one of their online. So think about it. Let me struggle through this. Think about it.
Want me to read it? Is your boy want me to read it for you?
No, I'm going to pull through. Think about it. How many clubs right now would you say are guaranteed to be in a pennant race and then contend to reach the World Series? I count 7. The Astros, Dodgers, Cubs, Nationals, Yankees, Red Sox, and Indians. I'd add the Rockies and Diamondbacks as teams that reached the postseason in 2017 and are hopeful to sustaining that success in 18, but are not locks. And I'd add the Cards, Giants, and Angels as teams coming off a disappointing 17 season and now attempting to make a real push towards returning to contention in 18. But that's it. 7 guaranteed contenders, 5 others that hope to contend. Will 1 or 2 others surprise everyone and put themselves in the mix like Minnesota and Milwaukee did last year? Probably, but there won't be more than a couple of these at most, which means there are something like 15 to 18 major league clubs that either have no chance of winning this season or aren't making much of an attempt to win this year.
Huh.
That's really true.
That sounds about right.
It's so simple. I really had it, like, Leonard Parent, the Atlanta Braves. I heard them trying to make a splash with the Marlins to get both Yelich and JT Realmuto. They're fine young catcher. But like Leonard said, why? We're not going to be contending until at least 2020. Yeah. Why spend the money now? And I remember when the Nationals were coming off back-to-back 100-plus seasons, and there were fans complaining, look, you have a billionaire owner in the Lerner family. Why aren't you signing free agents? And the general manager said, look, I said, we can win 60 games, lose 100 plus, as is right now, trying to rebuild our minor league system. Or if we went out and got a solid free agent, your war, that might be worth 5 wins. Is it worth for us to put all that money in to go to a 60-game winning team to a 65-game? We're not close to being a contender. We'll spend the money when they're there. And you look at the Atlanta Braves, as Leonard will attest, they've got a lot of good young kids. They picked up a lot of good farm people over the last 2-3 years. I think Atlanta, with a brand new ballpark last year, will open up their checkbook once they're ready to contend.
Well, it's not any different. Things haven't changed in the last 100 years. That book I read about Ty Cobb, his manager told him, when he traded him, what did he trade him to? The A's, I think, wasn't it?
Ty Cobb?
He played for Detroit.
Played for Detroit for a long time.
Philadelphia Athletics.
Yeah. And he goes, why'd you trade me? He goes, look, we were a last place team with you.
Yep.
We can't do it. What difference does it make?
Yeah.
And that's really the things haven't changed a bit.
Oh, you're right.
And if you got a shot at it, I think I give some teams are better at that than others. Like Kansas City had their window. They stepped up to the plate. They got Johnny Cueto. They picked up Zobrist. When they had the opportunity to get there, they did it.
And David, they were mentioned here, I didn't want to read the whole story. There were other teams not long ago that were very good, but now they're starting all over. The Royals, the Pirates.
The Pirates never stepped up to the plate and made their team better.
But they made the playoffs 2-3 years.
Look at what the Astros are doing right now. They picked up Verlander. Had they not picked up Verlander, I don't think they'd have won the World Series.
I concur. His ERA with the Astros were under 2.
So, and now they get another pitcher. They get the best pitcher the Pirates had, Derek Cole. They are absolutely loaded for bear. It would be a surprise if they didn't win.
Yeah.
Because that team, to me, is a runaway favorite. And their players are all right in their prime, and they still have them under control for quite a while.
They play in the Western Division. So thinking of their Texas is a 500 team at best.
Well, Texas will fool you. A couple years ago, I thought they were going to sell, and they ended up buying,
Right.
and then they ended up getting in the playoffs.
Right. I'd have to check their pitching if they have enough pitching down there. The Angels are making an effort to become a contender.
So-
Oakland is Oakland.
They got nothing.
They have no money, and I'm missing one. Seattle. So.
It's
But you're right, David. They could win that division by 18 games this year.
Houston, and they could do it on cruise control
Yeah.
to leave some gas in the tank for when the playoffs come. They don't have to use everything up to get there.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys there. I was reading about Chris Sale the other day. Chris Sale had a great season, 2.90 ERA, runner-up for the Cy Young.
Unfortunately,
His
had
last-
a bad postseason
His
game.
last third of the season, it's not like he laid a stink bomb. His last 11 games, his
Close to
ERA,
four?
4.04,
Really?
which is still, for the most part, for starters, that's average. I think,
And that's
you know-
been his MO too.
I think
Do you just pitch him less? Do you just try to save him a little
I think
more?
they got to use him less in April and in May, and then save him, give him a
But
have
maybe
him skip a
bullpen.
couple
He
starts.
often he wasn't pitching complete games, but he wasn't too far
Right.
from it.
So my
he would
question
often
to you
go into
guys
the seventh or eighth.
is, not that the Red Sox have won the pennant or made the playoffs here in January, but it's easy for me to say the Red Sox will be in the playoffs one form or another, whether they win the division or get the
Hope
wild
so.
card. Would it be wise to have a guy like a Chris Sale? And I'm saying this for every pitcher, or Scherzer, or Strasburg,
Yeah.
anybody like that, is you give him one day off a month,
No,
skip a
I
start.
thought you were going to say that. Well, it doesn't sound
Hey,
too crazy to me.
I would-
Especially if you have a halfway decent fifth or sixth starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a very good idea.
I think the way the baseball's going, they're going to go to six-man
Especially
rotations.
especially with bullpens.
That was my follow-up
Especially with
question.
bullpens becoming so
David,
important.
when you get into the dog days, when the heat, literally the heat of July and August, perhaps at that point, do you go to a six-man rotation?
Because
That's
the
a
Japanese guys, that's all they do.
Because the Red Sox, if all healthy, they do have they have six able bodies
Yeah.
to go six.
And another way, even if you don't have a sixth starter, with bullpens becoming so important, if you have enough decent bodies in the bullpen, hey, give three of your middle relief pitchers 3 innings each.
Yeah.
Have them deal with the whole
See,
game.
if I were the Players Association, what they should do is they should get at least 2 or 3 more.
Don't say
roster
it.
spots.
Don't, David. Don't.
Because I'll tell you why. Teams right now, we've said this before, you've got a backup catcher, one backup infielder, one backup outfielder.
Right.
That is it. And then you've got about 12 guys in a bullpen.
Okay. Let me say this, though, about having an athletic player. And I will tell you, our new all-round player, the Red Sox, the
Like
last number of years,
Nunez.
had Brock Holt.
Right.
I'm not sure if they can
who was their
afford.
only all-star a few
Right.
seasons ago.
I'm not sure if the Red Sox can afford, and I don't mean financially, but if they do sign Nunez.
Can they afford Brock Hull too?
Right, because they're similar type players.
But what are they going to be paying Brock Hull? A couple, $3 million or something?
Right, not much, but they're
still,
similar type player.
It might
Now-
be more just that body might be the more important thing than the money.
Now, the Nats last week, we picked up Howie Kendrick, who's 32 years of
yeah.
age, a fine player, had a very nice career. David, we signed him 2 years for a total of $7 million. He can play any infield position, and he also can play corner outfield position. Right there in itself saved a bench position.
This versatility now is the new
Right.
benchmark for players. If you look at the Astros, almost all of their guys, Springer, Correa, somebody else, they all started off as shortstops. Mm-hmm. These guys are all athletes.
Yep.
They aren't, even the Yankees, like with Judge, as big as he is, the guy's really athletic.
Yep.
And the days of Big Papi, just having Big Papi around just to hit, are just about over.
Yeah.
You got to have a guy that can play 2 or 3 or 4 positions. But what I'm saying is if they go to 6-man rotation, so you need 6 starters. How many guys are in a bullpen now? Their pitching staffs are 12 or 13 players.
Yeah, it seems like about a dozen.
But let's look at the Red Sox. I mean, again, I think we're all in agreement. It's going to be a dogfight with the Yankees for the divisional crown.
Well, I hope it's going to be a dogfight. I certainly give.
Well, I hope it's a runaway.
I certainly give an advantage to the Yankees.
But that's what I think.
But I think the Red Sox certainly. I would like to think they'd certainly make a wild card anyway.
All right, they won 93 games last year.
Two second straight year.
With most of the team not fulfilling.
Not to mention least homers in the majors, maybe.
Definitely in the American League.
Yeah.
However, I will quantify that
with
by
a bunch of underachieving
they
people.
did score the 6th most runs in the American League that people.
And their pitching, the pitching was actually pretty good.
I personally think the Red Sox are a good team. I think your third baseman
They're a good team.
is not going to be a star. I think he's going to be a superstar.
Do you really?
I really do. I do.
I feel like I didn't really just notice him that much, and I just felt bad. Just seemed like a lot of pressure on the guy. He got that Rafael Devers had the great start.
Was he 20 years
and then
old
faded
last year?
a bit. Boy, I almost wondered if he was 19 at this.
Yeah.
He basically came up from Portland.
But my question is this: how could a team like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Astros afford? Well, the Astros could, as we mentioned 5 minutes ago, they're going to run away with it. Yankees or Red Sox will stick to those two teams. By pitching that 6th guy, by not having a strong rotation as you could be, where come September, you're going to say, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Now, I can look at a team like Atlanta that's got a lot of young pitching, and they're no better than a 70-win
But for the
team.
Red Sox, Stephen Wright, what are they? They're not paying. Is he getting like maybe $5 million or something?
Probably.
So he's your classic 6th guy who they're not paying mega bucks
But you look
to.
at the Red Sox, Chris Sale, David Price, Drew Pomerantz, Rick Porcello, Stephen Wright, and Erod.
Erod.
That's 6. That's a pretty formidable
But as I'll take the
rotation.
words out of your mouth, obviously over the course of the season, 1 or 2 of those guys will probably.
Well, the other thing is too, with all this pitch count business.
But the Yankees have a little depth too. You can put Adam Warren in as the number 6 guy.
With this pitch count business, they don't want these guys pitching more than about 180 innings, especially the young guys. It's almost have to have a 6-man rotation.
But let me ask you this, David, more so in the American League since you have the DH and the pitcher can go forever. But say you're up 4-1 or down 4-1 in the 6th inning. Shouldn't you just kind of take them out?
Oh, I think they do.
And say, good job, and now the bullpen best do their job to finish up?
Because everything has changed, the specialization. But the pitchers have become more specialized, but the players, the position players, are more versatile.
I'm going to ask the stupid question. Is it just because I'm doing an eye test? Most pitchers look more like me than they do like Duke, okay? Even a Garrett Cole, they're
meaning they look younger and not ancient like me.
Just carry a few more pounds around the waist. Chris Sale looks like a guy that could go run a marathon.
Looks like a pro golf, one of the pro golfers
he does.
of today.
Chris Sale is in such phenomenal condition. I'm just wondering if he put on 15, 20 pounds, and I'm not saying muscle, just some Big Mac pounds. I'm like a Levon Hernandez, right? He was a big boy.
CC
Sabathia, David Wells. These big fat bastards, they could pitch forever, okay? And I think David Wells said, I'm not an athlete.
No, and
I throw a baseball.
Arm.
Right, I throw a baseball. That's all I do. I'm not an athlete.
Interesting. I think just giving the thing we talked about, I think just maybe giving your top pitchers maybe just, if not once a month, but just a little more, or give them, every few starts at least one extra day of rest or something. But Chris Sale, that's been his MO and stuff. I mean, he's a great pitcher when he's on, so you'd think they would try to do something a little different with him.
And again, I want to repeat his last 11 starts, which is exactly.
Is that right? So 4.0 ERA.
4.04, which for most pitchers, they would gladly.
But I mean, his earlier
take
ones
that.
must have been like 2.5
Well, he
or
pitched a
something.
lot of innings early on in
Well, I
April
told
and May.
you August 1st, he was the Cy Young Award winner, hands down. Well, he started to slide a little bit. Kluber just, and again, who's better, Kluber or Sale? I would take either one of them.
Two very good pitchers.
Right. And you got Kluber, Sale, then the rest of the league after that. So, but you know what?
So we're going to see 3 weeks, right? Aren't the Sox 3 weeks from today, spring training for most of these
Now, you
teams?
know what? There was a little surprise today. The Giants got a defensive coordinator, and it wasn't Jack Del Rio.
Right, and I'm happy.
Oh, yeah.
They picked up Jack Belcher
It's from the Cardinals.
from the Cards, and if you watch I think we played Arizona the last game of the year. Arizona is a very, very good football team, minus a quarterback, and I can guarantee you they will go out and get a guy like an Alex Smith. He's going to be available. There's going to be a few decent free agent quarterbacks good enough to lead a team.
It looks like what they're going to do, just can Spagnola and let him.
Yeah, Spagnola's gone.
He's not going to
He's
be
gone.
anything.
But this Belcher's 39 years of age.
He looks like a tough nut.
A big body such as myself, the players have a lot of respect for him, and he is tough on his players. They absolutely love playing for him, and they said this is the next breed of name guys you're going to hear in the future about head coach potential. So good pickup. And the other news is Pat Schumer has acknowledged he will do the play calling this upcoming season. So I'm excited for the Giants, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. The Rams last year were the lowest scoring team in football. They were the highest scoring team in football. The Jacksonville Jaguars were 3-13 last year. Okay.
Wow.
And they were close to making the Super Bowl this year.
Well, you know what? The Jeffrey and I were talking the other day about the football. And
Who's Jeffrey like?
My brother.
Who is he like?
Giants.
He's a big giant guy.
Giants.
These players today 80% of them wouldn't even make the 1990 Dallas Cowboys or the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, you think 80%?
You know why? It's like that guy that missed that tackle for New Orleans. These guys aren't taught to wrap up. Not only did he take out himself, he took out the other guy on his own team that was covering him. And, that you don't see that in a Bill Belichick team.
But David, you've been saying, and I've been agreeing with you the last 3 years, it shows on the field Sunday.
The quality of play is so
by the
inferior.
virtue of not practicing
in
during
pads.
the week.
Yes.
Another point
it
I'd
shows
make is
because I agree, the basic fundamentals are gone. When you're teaching an 8-year-old kid, it's all about blocking and tackling and right fundamentals. And again, that's the poster child what happened with the Saint game.
But I feel a little bad for the defensive players today. It just seems like, hey, how are they supposed to tackle somebody with all the rules and stuff? So I feel they're under the gun a little bit because they're so restricted seemingly.
Case in point, Gronk did put his head down when he got that concussion. I don't think the guy was headhunting Gronk, but the speed is so quick.
The penalty given the rule was a totally legit penalty.
It was legit because there was helmet-on-helmet action. But it's tough for the defender. And pass interference,
of course, the key play for the pass was late in the Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Was that? I mean, I saw it on highlights.
I didn't see any.
I guess it wasn't a crazy call, but
the hit on Gronk would have just
kinda
been a good hit 10 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
No, so I'm a little sympathetic to the defensive players these days.
Well, I'll get back.
Good luck when you're going after a quarterback.
But the players just do not play enough at speed. They are not as well skilled as they used to be.
And David, you are what you practice during the week.
Oh, absolutely.
And again, you were you don't coach anymore, do you, hockey?
No.
But you did for a good number of years.
Any chance they can talk you out of?
Oh, I got a grandson. I mean, hey, I don't mind being the puck boy. I can.
Yeah.
But one of the guys told me one time, a good coach, what's that expression? Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And because if you practice and do the same dumb things that you're doing all the time and you do not fix them,
Yeah.
you are just reinforcing bad habits.
Yeah.
But these guys, and it doesn't just, it starts in high school now. It starts in of course, who's to say, Bob Costas isn't doing the Super Bowl.
Who's got the Super Bowl? NBC?
NBC's got the Super Bowl,
like
but
in the Olympics?
Bob Costas isn't going to be the host because he's been quite outspoken in talking about the damage that football does, and
The NFL was right getting that big pussy off the air. I'm so sick of Bob Costas.
So did
At night,
NBC pull him off? Or
Yes, NBC pulled him off.
Is that right?
well,
I'm sure the NFL told him
He
that.
said it was a mutual decision.
But that night when I went to watch
No.
Sunday Night Football, Mr. Liberal Bob Costas started out the pregame about gun
Control.
gun control.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and like
Why was he? Was there some football
Oh.
hook to that?
there's no.
Was
no.
it that Las Vegas thing?
It could have, but whatever. Bob Costas, get off the air. He's
Though
been on-
he's going in the Hall of Fame for baseball.
Oh, I'm sure.
I've never cared for him at all.
But I mean,
Yeah, I think he's been pretty good baseball.
But
guy.
he said too, and I quote, "If my son was athletically gifted enough,
Wouldn't
to
let him
play
play
in the
football?
play in the
I wouldn't let him
NFL,
play football.
I wouldn't let him play football. Well, is that the
He's
guy
probably
you
got a lot of
want?
company.
Promoting the game.
I
Of course
think football's gonna and I don't know how you fix it because it's inherently dangerous anyway.
David, I think the next step, and I said it a zillion times, I'm so bored by the kickoff, and so I told you I DVR everything.
Another Patriot thing.
Kickoffs. Okay.
Why aren't more teams doing what the Patriots almost always do? Boy, their kicker. Talk about a key guy, Ryan Allen on that team. He's typically kicking it down to about the 2, 3, 4, 5, making him return it.
Yeah.
I think their average is to get it back to the 23, not quite.
Right.
Don't
where they'd
kick it
be.
in the end zone is what you're
Right,
saying.
right.
And that Patriots are. Their kicker is so key to that team.
There's so little action on kickoff returns now that I'm almost clamoring to see them just say,
Forget
we're not
it.
going to do it, ball
Yeah.
on the 25.
Save some time. Hey, just put
Save
it on the
some
25.
time.
Save 5 minutes or so.
Hey, football from its inception. That book that you gave me on Jim Thorpe.
Yeah.
When you read about football in the late 1800s
God.
and early 1900s, people were getting their legs broken, their noses broken, people were getting killed
A number of college players,
playing college football, and finally
it was Teddy Roosevelt that saved football.
somebody said,
All right.
enough's enough. You guys got to come up with some rules. And so
All right, people
football
are getting killed. Huh?
football has always been a game of danger. And even when
Talk to Daryl Stingley.
even when I was playing, you had guys getting torn knees and separated shoulders and broken bones, and it wasn't nearly as well coached as it is now because they would tell you,
Not to mention equipment. Not to mention.
oh, the equipment was junk that we had. It was barely better than nothing, and so I don't know what you do with it. I mean, eventually they, because of this concussion business, and they're finding that these repeated blows to the head in practice are even more troublesome than the concussion.
David, let me throw this out at you. I'm not going to use the word again. I'm going to say I equate this with driving an automobile. There were 69 deaths on the Vermont roadways last year. That's the most
That what the stat was?
right. The most dangerous thing to do okay, it's jumping an automobile.
I love people who say they won't fly because they're scared about
Right.
flying.
Right.
Hey, you know,
So,
be lucky you're
there's
flying
an
and not
inherent
driving.
risk every day you jump in your car and drive down to Burlington to go to work.
Absolutely.
However, I'll tell you what, David, if I had the skills in knowing what I know today, even back, I would have been eligible in 1980. I still would have signed the bottom line. And
Oh,
played the
absolutely.
And David, even at my old age, I give a right arm to get in and play a series
Hey,
with the Giants.
I played touch football. Touch.
You used to play Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Every Thanksgiving at Coop Field.
They still do. They play at
Collins Pearly?
no
Hardack?
no the
Home Park.
Holden Park. And I can remember, no matter what, no matter how bad the weather, no matter what the circumstances, I would be there for 10 o'clock on Sunday. I had a wedding. One of my cousins got married in Long Island. I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I was there for football at 9:30.
Really?
And I would play, and that's when I had torn knees and couldn't walk without a limp till Friday. And then you'd start it all over again, and just to be in that huddle, there was just something about it, and that was touch.
And you were in your 30s back then?
20s and 30s.
Didn't our old friend John Kimmel play with
Johnny Kimmel played
that right?
well into his 40s.
you? Right.
Really?
He
is that
of
right?
course, was a co-owner of their radio station.
But Frank Colano, Eddie Leahy. Eddie Leahy was the first. He had the West Coast offense way
Okay.
before Bill Walsh did.
Oh, yeah.
Because Eddie was hurry up and because I would be one quarterback and Eddie was the other one, and Eddie probably beat me 70% of the time.
Yeah.
And he was quick.
I'll tell you what.
He would write out plays the night before.
I mean, I played all kinds of sports, but playing in our big backyard growing up, my brother Bobby was Roman Gabriel. I was Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah.
We were all, my twin brother was Sonny Jurgensen. You know, we loved to play football.
I think Sonny was a Dookie.
Yes, he was.
Was he?
Yeah. So, yeah, I do want to get in basketball here. We
Yeah,
have
the Celts,
37.
a little concerned about the Celts
4-game
here.
losing streak.
You
And that
think Coach Stevens might have pulled Marcus Smart aside after last night's game?
he shot a lot.
Well, he shot a lot, or more specifically,
That
he
last
took
shot,
the last
he
shot.
did.
Had
Plenty of time. He did.
He had Kyrie on one side, Rozier on the other. What's he doing taking
Yep,
that shot?
I agree. But that was the most devastating loss of the season last night.
Boy.
Because we have the Lakers pick in June's draft
Wow.
if they finish between second and fifth. They were
No, that's a good
second
point.
worst team up till about 2 weeks ago. They started playing
Lakers
better.
are not a bad-looking team.
However, my hope right now is, and they're probably the seventh worst team. If the draft was today, the Celtics would have it. But the Lakers will be sellers come trade deadline. They have to get rid of money because LeBron is gone. It's a fiasco.
So you think you're
LeBron will be a
assuming
Laker.
you're assuming that?
I guarantee you,
that
LeBron
right?
will be a Laker.
Is that right? Official Nighthawk guarantee?
Yeah, LeBron will be wearing the gold next year.
God, the
Julius
Cavs,
Randle,
wow.
who's lost some weight and is playing better this year, definitely will be a guy they will trade.
I'm sure you did. Brandon Ingram, former Duke.
He's their
God,
leading scorer, but he's built like an eighth grader.
He doesn't exactly look like your typical even Duke one and doneer, does he?
No, he's not my favorite player. They've got a kid on the team who's 20-some of them.
That's not a bad team
Kuzma.
though.
I can't even remember
good.
what team he played for last year.
Neither can I.
But this guy who's smooth as
No,
silk.
they're a better team than I was expecting.
But they're building for next year.
Yeah.
It's not with
So
all the
LeBron, you think LeBron's a lock? Huh?
Oh, I tell you, this Isaiah Thomas, and I told you last year when he was scoring 29.4
Yeah.
a game. The guy can't play defense. He's got the second worst defensive. What's that word?
Rating,
Yeah, whatever.
measurement,
Yeah,
whatever.
Ranking,
and
whatever.
He's been, raising hell in the locker room and
And
all
supposedly, what when he and Kevin Love don't do well. When he's on the floor, Kevin Love's not.
Yeah.
Boy, the Cavs do sound like a mess right now.
So I'm telling you right now,
148 points,
Cleveland,
that's a lot of points to give
Cleveland
up.
will not get it together. They're not a serious contender to win the conference. My pick
You're talking about this year?
this year.
I heard
Even
somebody
with
today
LeBron.
saying, hey, Cleveland, forget the regular season. The Celtics are fading.
No.
Celtics might lose the first-round series. Cleveland's a team.
Best team-
I just won't bury LeBron.
Best team in the
ahead of time.
conference is Toronto. Toronto is a really solid team. The Celtics, Jason Tatum is on back of the
seems
middle.
to have hit a
He's
wall, huh?
disappeared, and
It's kind of, again, he's already played, 2 college seasons now and stuff.
My problem with him, and I don't beat up on 19-year-olds, is just not aggressive enough to get the ball and take shots. He's very good to going down the paint, slicing through.
Yeah.
He's a poor finisher. Where Kyrie gets the hoops and John Wall does, Irving doesn't, or Tatum doesn't get it. Now,
Kyrie had again, thank you, Cavaliers. The Celtics, that Danny Ainge pulled off that trade it's just, and no offense to Isaiah, who was great for Boston, but what a steal to me.
now, Gordon Hayward, video came out
Sounds like we might see
a
him.
few days ago. He's shooting behind the three-point line, just bang, swish, swish, swish. I told you about a month ago that I've got him marked at the end of March.
Really?
The Celtics need a shooter. It's
They
the only
never-
thing they need. And I'm telling you
Didn't
right
they have
now.
an open spot? They never. I mean, they don't even have to cut anybody when they put him on. Didn't they not never pick up somebody
They
else?
signed somebody to a 10-day
Somebody,
contract,
okay.
a body.
So you think he's back?
Well, listen, we lack a shooter on the second unit.
Yeah.
You don't want to get Hayward back and play him 38 minutes.
Yeah. So
Put him on the second
perfect
unit,
guy for
play
the
him
second.
24 minutes, absolutely.
Good thought. Unless you throw him in, or he and Tatum kind of somewhat in, or to maybe just put Tatum on the second
You
unit
could do
and
that.
hope he gets a little more aggressive.
But I'd rather have Hayward be the
Good
guy
thought.
on the
So
second
the
unit.
Celts. So you're not particularly concerned about the Celts? 4-game losing again. Boy, they're not much over 500 since their amazing 16-0 run. Are
Well,
they?
their record's what, 31-18?
So they're under. So take away their 16-0 run or whatever
They're
it is. They're under even
34 and
5.
14, 20,
Well,
20
they're a
games.
little,
that's
they're a
pretty
little,
good.
they're a little
That's
over.
not bad.
So they're a little over.
And you can watch them tonight, 10:30.
Clippers.
They're playing the Clippers, who are a
Back at
half game
Staples.
out of the playoffs in the Western Conference.
Clippers
so
are showing more life than I thought, probably.
in old Dookie.
Of course, JJ's gone.
J.J. Redick's injured with the Sixers.
Is that what kind of an? I didn't
a
even.
leg injury. But let me tell you, this guy is nothing but pure grit.
We're talking about
J.J. Redick.
JJ's become pretty
Sunday,
serviceable
1
player.
year, they overpaid him
Like
at
20, 25, yeah.
$23 million.
Yeah.
But they needed a veteran guy that'll
Yeah.
get in these kids' faces.
The Sixers had a recent win over the Celtics. Sixers are
Joel Embiid is
Mr. Simmons. That's not a bad-looking team after some horrible years.
It's a good
Big
team.
big golf this week. Our buddy Tiger's back.
That was my next topic.
Tiger is back. Sorry to screw up my scheduling. I love how I'm telling you guys the Phoenix Open was coming up. Sorry to be 2 weekends off. So Tiger's back. Wow.
He's got a 140 tee time. Patty Harrington's one of the
Oh, yeah.
two guys. I can't remember the third
Reed.
guy.
Patrick Reed.
Reed.
Patrick Reed. I think coverage, I've got my DVR set up because I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I will be check what color shirt he's wearing. I'm not going to sit there and watch 4
Surprised I'm not
hours of
seeing
golf.
stories in the paper
But
today
I think
about
coverage begins at 3 o'clock tomorrow.
that. On golf, on Golf
1:40
Channel,
is his
obviously.
tee time,
Right.
California time, so that'd be 4:40 here.
But
That was 140 Eastern
yeah,
time.
I'm sure
Oh,
they're-
1:40 Eastern
they
time.
always-
Oh, okay,
They
yeah.
would never.
Yep.
They always give you Eastern times. Is that right?
So,
140.
You know what question I'm going to ask you two guys? Is he going to make the cut? Is he going to play this
that's the
weekend?
question. Anybody going beyond will he make the cut is being absurd.
That's a tough course now.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't put it past
I
him.
wouldn't put it past him, but I'm not sure I'd assume that. I'd say maybe a little less than 60-40 chance not to make the cut.
Now,
40%
has he not
chance.
won in that course 7 times?
Yeah.
But don't you say it's a tougher course?
It's
now?
a much tougher course. It's not tougher,
what-
it's a lot
But
tougher.
look what's happened to him. I'm not sure that. I guess that's worth something.
Well, I think not that I know much, but from watching him play in that hero thing, he looked as good as he's looked.
He did look good.
He looks as good as he's looked in a long. His swing looks so much better. I would not.
I guess I should give. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh. But for folks who are saying, "Hey, let's see if he can,"
Is he going to be Dustin
crazy.
Johnson when he's on his game? No.
Yeah.
David, do you have a TV in your office?
No, but I could put one in. Nobody'd even notice.
Might slip home a little earlier or something.
For what little bit I do when I'm there, I could have 6 TVs on.
Okay. So you'll watch that? I mean, I know you and I
got my buddy Alex tomorrow, but I've got my squirrel guy. I got a guy from New Hampshire trying to solve my onerous squirrel in the attic issue, who, of course, I woke up to yet again this morning. So I got my buddy Alex. So, yeah, I'll probably I may watch all of that tomorrow.
I don't know how guys like you can live without a DVR, where you
I thought
just
you were going to say,
record it.
you don't know how I can live with squirrels in my
Squirrels
attic.
are fine.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
I was talking to David McWilliams the other day.
David's my man. He caught for the record. Good job, David. He caught, and these are baby squirrels. I almost said a bad word probably. These guys are breeding up in my attic. They're not just showing up now. He caught his 4th squirrel today in the last couple of weeks.
David was at your house
Oh,
today?
yeah, David's been my guy. Good job, David.
Yeah. Didn't he? I think he told me that you had a squirrel sitting on your windowsill.
That's the issue. I'm freaked out. Yeah, a squirrel got in the. It apparently got out the same way it came in. Yeah, we had a trap inside the house. He's gone, but that's a freaky thing.
So why do you have to
I'm hoping
get
that's like I get a bat about every 5 years. I hope that's.
Well, we're totally remodeling our house, and
really?
and we are, and I'm an idiot. We're the only people I know that had 5 kids, 5-bedroom house. We're down to 1 kid left at home, and we put an addition on and remodel the whole damn house.
Okay.
But what we're doing is we're putting in that spray foam in the attic and in the cellar,
Yeah.
because it's a old, and I'm hoping that stuff.
You've had some critters, right?
Oh, I've had, you talk about bats.
Oh.
We've had bats, squirrels, mice. We're hoping that by that spray foam, they just fill it all up.
Yeah. Do you know what I did? David told us you plug it in. It's by Honeywell.
Oh, actually, he actually gave me that. That's more mice than I had.
Right,
I had a
because
mouse
I have
issue.
mice
That's
at the
fine.
house,
Thanks.
and-
He gave me that info.
And there's a sound that we can't hear.
Does it work?
And that's worked.
We haven't heard any mice.
Because I had one mouse. I threw out some just pellets, some poison and stuff, but that mouse is gone. But if that comes back again, I've got the info on that.
I remember before I remarried, the house I have out in Swanton, I'd lie on the couch every night, watch my sports, and I'd hear mice. Absolutely. And you know what? If I didn't hear it one night, I felt a little bad because they're rotten rodents, but they're mine. And I'd hear them on the ceilings almost every night.
When we first bought our
I don't
house,
have those feelings about my
no,
squirrels.
when we first bought our house, our 3rd floor we hadn't finished off yet. And one time we went up there, and there was a nest, a whole bunch of baby mice.
Oh God!
And so I took them all and I put them in a bag, because I couldn't kill them with all the kids. My kids were just little guys, so I took them all out and I threw them out in the woods.
All right.
And
did they come back?
oh, I'm sure they have. But
David, question. All your 5 kids are long gone on the house.
except for one, I
No,
still
one-
have one.
Sam.
One's not long ago.
Sam's going to college next.
Well, Sam is a junior in high school.
Okay, so he'll be gone in a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you and Carrie not thinking of downsizing?
Well, we
got kids and grandkids, in the
yes,
future.
and
Good for these kids.
well, we decided our role models were Bill and Therese Chaffee, and
Talk about a great house.
and those guys they had family over all the time.
Okay.
Talk about family.
And
people.
they stayed, and they had all the kids and the grandkids, and we kicked it around, and we thought, well, you know what, we'll fix this house up and make it really nice, and then when everybody comes home, they'll just stay with us.
Great. How old's your house?
Our house was built in 1903. Our house,
My house is early 1900s too. about the
ours
same.
and Chaffee's were both built at the same
really?
time by
Oh.
2 sisters.
Really?
in my house is the old farmhouse on the old dump road, which is now Jewett Avenue.
Yeah.
It was the farmhouse because I still have
really?
remnants of the silo
Oh,
and
really?
the back barn.
Really?
That was built in 1894.
Really?
And of course, I put an addition on it about 8-9 years ago. So it's just kind of like two worlds collide. But the house, you know, when you're younger, you always want to get bigger and better. Then you get there, then all the kids are gone. Now, I swear to God, 2/3 of my house you could steal from me, David, and I wouldn't even know it was
You're just never there.
Well, see, we still have, like, when you take between Christmas and New Year's.
You had a bunch of kids
We
there.
had, all the kids were home, plus a couple of boyfriends and girlfriends, and they all come over, and
Good.
it's okay. And and actually what I did is, of course, we spent a lot of time on our front porch, which is really a nice big old front porch. And what I'm putting on is a porch in the back of the house that's screened in.
Oh, really? Oh, great.
And I'm
be
telling
nice.
everybody that's my camp, because everybody, a lot of guys got in camps and stuff. But you know what? I
Camp.
don't like the water. I don't have a boat. I don't like fishing.
Is that right? You don't like the water?
No.
God, I kill for the water.
David, that's my favorite saying. And
Really?
a friend of mine that
That's
owns a
interesting.
$200,000 boat, he goes, do you know, happiest,
The 2 days of owning a boat.
well, the happiest time in a man's life is when he buys a boat. Do you know what his second happiest time
When he
is?
sells it.
Is when he sells it. Because he got it down Colchester and Marina Bay, or I don't know. But I bet, David, he's probably paying $3,000 a year just to keep it.
Oh, boats are expensive.
To,
Yeah, you get kayaks. I'll
and-
give you kayaks.
and when we go over to
Thank you, Hawk, for kayak.
I do an excursion.
storage.
He's got again a beautiful boat. We'll go over to the Naked Turtle over in
Oh,
the
that's
That's a
fun.
good, that is a good place.
just a great place. And when I go with him, I have my former fresh air kid who just left.
Noel
Sunday.
just left?
Yeah, he's all of 20 years of age
You
now.
guys have been so
But,
good to Noel.
He'll ride the boat or drive the boat, whatever you do with it, and he'll have it wide open going a million miles an hour. And I just like sit back, talk with my wife and the guy's wife. But I said, you know, what was this ride? What did that cost? He goes, oh, about $100.
Oh,
Because with it wide open, he goes, you know,
This
when I
guy
don't
just
have
going
company
through
with
gas
me,
like-
him and his wife will just go out in the middle of the lake, shut it off, get their book, have a sandwich,
Yeah,
and
right.
read, and just kind of, you know.
hey, when we grew up, we had a camp out in Swan, and
Oh, is-
and the
Of
neighbors.
course, Floyd, yeah. I mean,
Now,
Floyd's camp is still in use.
Floyd's
right?
camp. Well, see, you got to go way back
Can
before
Jackie
that.
grab it for like half the summer and care
They
for it?
Floyd actually had a house. Floyd was one of the first guys to have a full-time house down at the lake.
Yeah.
Down, you know where the caboose used to be, where Gordon Winter's place was? Floyd had a camp. His house was 2 doors down.
Huh.
But we had quite a little community where it was us, and then the Prouties, and then Leonard Dubois, and then the Ulches, and then Charlie Purdy had another one. But even though we didn't have a boat, I bet you I went for a boat ride almost every night. If the water was calm, we'd wait for Leonard to come home,
Yeah.
and he'd take us water skiing.
Wow.
And Dr. Barker wasn't too far over, and so I spent a ton of time in boats and stuff. But as the years have gone by, if I got free time, which of course I have now more than I ever did, I'd just soon play golf.
Golf, right.
Yeah.
You know, I lease property down the lake, don't have a camp.
Thank you, Hawk. Thank you, Bobby.
Brother Bobby and Duke and I get in on it. And I like
Tell me to
I
make
like
more
go down,
use of it.
swim, maybe read or listen to some music. And of course, as time has gone by, as I told you before, my wife won't go in the water because it's so slimy.
Oh, it is.
And you know, could it be worse? Yeah, I could have a
Well,
camp
for
at
the record,
Carmel.
I swim. I swim at the Kilcare Beach, obviously very close. And,
Well, you
know,
have more current over there. Even
Yeah,
it's
that's
only
a better side to
500
swim.
yards
Water there
away.
usually seems pretty good.
But
Now, my dad's camp, when because we've had a camp. My parents' first house was a camp on Mequam Shore over on leased land about a mile from where our camp was. And over the years, I can remember when the water started getting worse. When I was a kid, it wasn't.
It was not bad, David. 'cause
It was fine.
I've been down there over a half century. Snotty nose, a little blocker, and I go in
And
the water.
there
and
were
it's
no
fine.
weeds.
No, sir. Nope.
And then, as the years went by, probably by the time I was in college,
Yep.
maybe,
Yep.
started noticing the weeds. And then, in the last 15 or 20 years, the last time we had a big 4th of July down at my folks' camp, probably 10 years ago, last time I went water skiing, come out of the water, just covered with green stuff.
Yep.
It was just awful. And that was 4th of July.
I took Duke's kayak out a couple times.
Good for you.
I realized what I already knew, that my upper body strength, it's a lot harder being a good kayaker. It does take a lot out of your upper torso. But anyways, you get out there in the middle of the lake, David, and say the lake is 14 feet deep. The weeds are about 13
Yes,
feet.
and there were never any weeds. The only place that would have weeds was over by Charcoal Creek out in Mequam,
Okay.
by the Mequam Beach.
Swanton Beach.
Swan Beach.
Village Beach.
That used to be a little bit, but nothing like now. Now it's just awful.
Yep.
Now I think if you're on the big lake, the water's still pretty good. I think if you're in
It's a big, yeah. I mean, like I just happened to look at it the other day. The official Lake Champlain Basin program, they come out with State of the Lake maybe every 5 years. I just happened to look back at that, and I think the stat in there was 95% of Lake Champlain's in pretty good shape. That's the inner bays, of course, to which St. Albans, Missisquoi, some of the southern lake.
Missisquoi Bay is really.
And now, unfortunately for the folks in Lake Carmine, as I've noted, I think has even supplanted Missisquoi Bay for kind of the poster child of water quality problems. But again, the lake as a whole, I think their stat was 90% is, considered pretty good quality water. Unfortunately, we're on the
10%
in the the tougher places.
Yeah. So, hockey.
Now your Habs ending the Avs 10 game winning streak or something.
That was a decent hockey game last night.
But the Bruins 3-0
I can
against
tell
the Habs.
you, Boston right now, they're second
These
in the
guys are
conference
unreal.
overall.
Behind Tampa, right?
Yeah. If the playoffs began tonight, they would be the home team against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
All right.
Yeah. And the Canadians are 13th overall. They didn't play well against Boston the other night.
Boy, for Boston to beat the Habs 3 games in a row, boy, that sure wouldn't have happened in recent years.
But Carey Price, I didn't know this. I read it the other day. He's been dealing with chronic fatigue.
Really? Chronic fatigue?
Yeah, I guess there's something called the chronic fatigue syndrome.
Huh.
And I guess they've worked on his diet and other things.
Oh, really?
But, so, he's great. I'll give him a flyer. And the other guy, Shea Weber, has missed like the last 16 games.
Really?
And he won't be ready to go until about the 1st of February.
What's his?
He got hurt the very first game of the season.
Lower body injury, or
that's the worst
The old
thing.
lower upper body.
Right.
They tell you so much.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a knee or an ankle. What it is.
No, is that right? So zero hope for the playoffs for your guys, Hawk?
I would say
Not quite 0.
5%, but that's pretty close enough to be 0.
Huh.
Yeah. I keep waiting for David to call me to say I got some tickets for the Canadians.
hey, I'm not going to any more regular season games.
Yeah,
That's a waste of money.
And I'll say, no thanks, Dave. Have you been to any games this year? No.
Not even close.
No.
Speaking of hockey, EVM. What about our Catamounts? Anything to say about them? Again, you didn't even. They were home last weekend. They did play a decent game. What, Saturday
night? And unfortunately, I did sell my tickets Friday night before the season. So Lowell's one of my favorite teams to watch. So come Saturday, I'm supposed to go with my fresh air buddy and my grandson, Little Jackson, who loves going down there and just absolutely loves it. And it's about 3:30 in the afternoon, and I just feeling like
No, I
dog
just weren't
crap.
feeling well. Yeah.
And I told Donna, give Jackson a call, tell him Gramps can't make it to the game. So they'll be there next weekend. They play Merrimack this weekend.
At Merrimack, right?
Yeah, just to show you how bad things are.
Sorry,
Now,
I've been such a. Usually, I like to get into a game or two. Maybe I'll miss it.
let me.
So at Merrimack.
Yeah,
huh?
listen to this. Well, of course, Notre Dame was in hockey for a number of years, maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
They jumped the league after last
Did
season.
go to another league or?
Did they go the West
I-
WCAC?
Yeah, I should have checked, but I didn't. Guess,
Anyway.
All right, I'm going to ask you guys. Guess who's the #1 team in the country?
I haven't even looked at Notre Dame. Notre Dame.
You got it.
Is that right?
So,
haven't even looked at.
talk about
standings.
losing some credibility.
Actually, I was talking to someone about ratings and rankings. They're about what, 50 or 60 Division I team, 60 maybe.
Something like that.
A friend mentioned a coach's rating. Have you ever seen or heard of a coach's
yeah.
rating? And said person said Snedden was like 59th out of 60 or something.
Could very well be.
Never seen that.
Haven't seen it this year.
Never seen that.
I've
either.
heard that.
Yeah.
Kind of out of sight, out of mind.
More reason to give him an extension, I guess, right?
But there are 11 teams in Hockey East. They're in 11th place with a total of 7 points.
Wow.
Merrimack's 10th with 10 points.
Sure, there'll be big crowds at that game.
At Merrimack, I don't know.
Don't know. Merrimack's actually a pretty good school. Merrimack gets some decent words for kind of a small New England school.
Yeah, and Boston College is in first, 24 points. Northeastern
I told
second.
you, I mentioned last week, the attendance at a Northeastern home game caught my eye.
Yeah.
Like Matthews Arena, St. Bodal Street, 1,800
Yep.
people.
Yep, and UVM still sells not quite out, but pretty darn close to it. And of course, I'm guessing at this time next year, we're going to be sitting here talking about the start of the refurbishment of Gutterson, because not that I know what the schedule is next year, but I would like to think they're going to put a lot of home games earlier, and maybe the last month put them on the road so they can start gutting out the gut.
In fact, actually, the person I met, I guess I won't name him, we were just kind of talking off the cuff, but a certain local doctor who treats me very well, but as a UVM guy, and no surprise, not happy with the hockey situation at all.
And you know what? I'm talking to my hockey buddy down in Burlington. In sports, it's all about emotion. We all love to win and feel good and all that, but when things aren't going well, like the Giant season, bitching about the team is part of the fun. Okay, that blah, blah, blah. Well, when you get to the point where you just don't care anymore, and that's pretty much where I'm getting to right now with UVM hockey.
Really? Wow.
Because they strive. They strive for mediocrity there. Okay, their coach, they're in dead last place, and they just give their head coach a
extension.
3-year extension. Okay, it's like me working for David, haven't sold a car all year. Rick, come on in the office.
I'll give you a bonus.
Here's a
Anybody
bonus.
did anybody you
Okay.
think that might be a story?
there's-
Somebody asking Mr. Schulman, the pretty new AD, Mr. Schulman, out of curiosity, the UVM hockey team's a lousy team. Coach then apparently at the bottom of coaches' rankings. Weinig, does anybody ask such a question around here?
And there's 2 reasons why I will hang on.
Nobody cares?
It's because I'm waiting for the refurbishment.
Okay.
I don't want to I've been a season ticket holder for 30 some odd
Yeah,
years.
why bag it
I
now?
don't want to bag it now. Plus, as I mentioned, my grandson likes to go.
That's good.
And grandkids are pretty cool. The older they get and they start to converse with you, it's like pretty neat.
How old is Jackson?
He'll be 5 in April.
And his sister is.
Little Juliet will be 2 next month. And the thing about grandkids, when they look at the grandfather, I mean, the kid will grow up and realize what an idiot I really am. However, up to this point, it's like,
Sure, he will not grow up with that thought.
at this point, David, I'm a pretty cool guy.
Yeah,
and,
that's-
and my daughter tells me, oh, he loves spending time with you and all that
I trust
stuff.
that will not change.
So that, that's one of the cool things, and that, and I never had a son. I grew up with 4 brothers, and you just kind of assumed your life would, so the basketball, they're playing arch rival Albany tonight. So before I come to the studio, I'm watching it on the computer
listen,
on
coming
ESPN3.
over.
Well, they had a medical emergency in the stands about midway through the first half.
Really?
And
Right as you were coming in, because I was listening.
I went up to brush my teeth and get my hat and
Maybe
all
a
that
little
stuff.
earlier.
So that probably occurred about 7:20.
Oh, really?
And it took about 25 minutes before they resumed
Really?
play. So I'm not sure.
Really?
You know, speaking about attendance, great fans, UVM
Packed,
basketball.
I assume packed house
Just
tonight.
every night's packed.
You tell me this is really weird. Not that UVM's played Albany tonight at
Do you have your
Patrick.
tweet machine on?
No, I don't.
What was very strange, guess who had a game no later than a noontime start today? The UVM women also playing Albany at Albany.
Really?
Why? Can you tell me? We're talking kids are back in school. What are they doing with a noon game on a Wednesday on January 24th?
Your guess is as good as
Isn't
mine.
that totally bizarre?
Well, it just goes to show you how much they worry about whatever schoolwork they've got.
What,
I
David?
mean, isn't that
Yeah.
weird? We're talking. Kids are back in school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wednesday, January. A school day, noon.
David, listen.
That's when that game was.
If
Albany
you're
won by 12
a
points.
girl playing for the BFA Comets, it happened to be good enough to play D1 for UVM. You're going to go down to the Patrick Gym and play about 1/4 of the attendance that you're used to playing at the BFA.
Well, you
gym.
know, remember
Right,
the
yeah.
Just nothing.
The women-
In their
I watched
heyday, they packed
Oh,
the
in their
place.
heyday, everybody loves the winner, sure.
But they that's really too bad with UVM women that they let them sink so bad because they were really
Oh, they were.
that was a
big.
bonus.
That was the
Back
biggest.
in the early 90s.
That was the biggest thing in
that-
Vermont.
that
Now,
was-
when I was at UVM, and they used to let us practice, not practice, but have pickup at Patrick Gym. If there was a women's game, you know how many rows of bleachers they'd push out?
Well, like one.
Yeah.
All right.
One row.
Yeah. But in UVM hockey, the girls, that program is really,
Well, that's Sharky's buddy, you know, Plummer.
yes,
He was in Sharky's wedding.
okay. They have a good program, but you watch the highlights there,
Yeah.
you might be able to count 45 people.
Not a lot of fans.
Well, they've tried because when Roxanne was there, they had
Greatest goalie all time at UVM.
They had Pack the Gut.
Pack the gut. They
And
do
they
that
had,
every
like-
year. They get 2,000. They usually get 2,000
Really,
people in there.
That's
to pack the gut.
certainly
But
decent.
the only place that I ever saw had a full house for a women's hockey game was Bowdoin, and
Oh, yeah.
and that was
Not
not
talking a huge arena.
no, but
A decent
a pretty
crowd,
good
huh?
size arena, probably 2,000-3,000 people.
Brunswick, not really.
And the reason for that is what they do is both hockey teams, the townspeople adopt, like each family will adopt a player off a hockey team.
Oh yeah.
So the community really goes to support them.
That's great.
As a matter of fact, when Emmy had a playoff game there, I went to one of the games with Leonard.
Oh, is that right?
And sure enough, doesn't he ask Emmy's coach about how come he didn't play the other goalie or something? You know, some needle question that, you know, the poor guy probably, who's this guy with Dave Handy?
Yeah.
Hawk, a quick word. There's some great tennis going on. If anybody else cares, I certainly
Nobody
do.
cares.
Australian Open. Well, some people. We're talking some
No,
good
you're wrong.
tennis.
Nobody cares other than
I
you.
care. I care. I'm somebody.
Federer's still in it, right?
Federer won. Yeah, won.
No Americans
won
left?
easily today against Mr. Burdick.
No Americans?
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. Last night around midnight, I was watching the one American who I literally had never heard of. Interesting first name, Tennis, Tennys, Sandgren. I had never heard of the guy, ranked 97th, but made it to, I guess, the quarters and stuff. But it's been just a lot of injuries. Rafael Nadal, probably my favorite guy. Gutty performance, lost in the fifth, went down in the fifth set. Tough match, very
Did he
discouraged.
pull out?
He retired. They split the first 4 sets. He was down 2-love in the fifth set, and he couldn't. He was limping, visibly limping.
And Djokovic, he got hurt
Djokovic,
too.
he went out, he had an elbow issue. I don't think he retired, but lost. But,
Now, didn't he have
but
surgery on his elbow, too?
Federer's got a real shot here.
Didn't he have surgery?
Djokovic?
Djokovic on the
He might
These
have.
these guys,
they take a
Federer,
bit
Nadal,
in.
Djokovic, Andy
Murray
Murray.
he's out with surgery on his
These
hip.
guys are just one wrong move from retirement.
And Nadal especially, and has complained a lot, and a lot of tennis players agree with him, just saying the season's too long, and what kills him is the hard courts.
Yep.
I mean, if Nadal could play on clay, like he's won the French Open 10 out of the last 11 years. If they could play on more clay, but just the hard courts, it's a punishing, you know. I mean, look at these matches. These guys, they're great matches.
Yeah.
Typically, at least 3 hours on the men's side, 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe even a 5 hour once in a while. You know, this is a real grind.
Yeah, their knees have to be shot by the time they retire. Basketball, game of the year this weekend. Help me, is it Duke and Virginia this weekend?
No, it is Duke.
This is the game of the year. Duke's number 4.
Guess how many points
2.
Virginia gave up. In fact, I was hoping the NESN would show the Duke-Wake game last night. They showed, understandably, the Virginia-Clemson game.
Yeah.
And guess how many points Virginia gave up? This is always a good defensive team. How about 38?
Wow.
Clemson, which is a top 20 team, got all of 38 points last night at Virginia.
Yeah.
That's at CBS. I think it's a network game Saturday afternoon.
Not that I paid much attention, but
That's a good game.
That one's been DVR'd, so I will watch that. Of course,
it's a good
Marvin
game.
Bagley
Having a very, very good year.
having a good year. This guy, isn't he athletic for 6'11"?
Oh, yeah, he's just kind of floats
unreal.
around. He's good.
But the mock draft,
He's good.
DeAndre Alton out of Arizona is
And there was a guy in Arizona getting a lot of attention on, I happen to watch Sports Center. Oh, here, we talk about Sports Center. Jeez, Scott Van Pelt, who seems like a decent guy. I actually watched it last night, kind of, because the Duke game wasn't on, a rare Duke game not on. Wanted to see the highlights. I saw the score. A pretty easy win over Wake Forest. Thank you, Sports Center. It's on at midnight, I guess.
Yeah.
That's when I got my Duke highlights for about 30 seconds.
Probably.
About 12:55.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But the problem, the big name in college basketball, and the guy's a ball hog, is Trae Young out of Oklahoma.
Who in Oklahoma beat Kansas last night. That was a big game last night, and I saw a ton. Sports Center devoted about 15 minutes to this guy.
Yeah.
He shot a lot less. He had shot a lot less last night.
Sports Center's coverage, of course, depends on whether or not it's something that they cover versus whether it's a sport they don't cover.
And of course, obviously, they had covered the Oklahoma-Arizona game, the Oklahoma-Kansas game.
I think it was the interview Jason Whitlock from FS1 was on Tucker Carlson's show.
Oh, is that right?
A night or two. And Whitlock's a great guest, and he
I
really
hear
tells
him
it.
spar with Colin Cowherd sometimes.
But he was talking about ESPN hemorrhaging money, and of course there's been dozens and dozens.
Is he a former Colin Cowherd? Of course, is a former ESPN
Whitlock
guy
did work
too.
for ESPN, but he works for Fox Sports.
I love when Dan Patrick refers to it not, just kind of straightforwardly as the mothership is Dan, who I like. Dan Patrick's a very solid guy.
But
I'll just say the mothership.
There's some serious financial problems down in Connecticut right now.
Well, you don't have to worry. Didn't Disney just bought up about a whole pile
movies, right? Or
no, of regional networks.
Oh, is that right? I didn't notice that.
And all to well, they merged with Fox Sports. ESPN and Fox Sports now are merged.
Really?
Because ESPN was losing
too.
all of
got
these
that right there too.
all of these viewers.
ESPN and Fox Sports.
And so what they did is they bought, because they know that people like to watch the Red Sox. They know they like to watch their own teams.
Sure.
So
With
that's what they did.
announcers.
So now you can't get rid of ESPN. They're gonna and it was a big multi-billion.
How did I miss? I guess I missed.
Well, I know
that.
a bunch of Fox networks were sold.
Yes, that's
Like half of them were
to ESPN.
Are you saying folks like Colin Cowherd, who's Fox Sports 1, he's now back under the ESPN
Well,
umbrella?
the regional Fox Sports.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
the regional.
I guess it's
But I'm not sure what the.
interesting.
Yeah.
So we picked the demise of ESPN just a little bit too soon.
Yeah.
How's that go? It was a
I
Shakespeare
certainly
thing.
appreciate them giving me just about every Duke basketball game. Anyway.
You do your Shakespeare quote, then we're
I
done.
can't. Meade thinks he does protest too much, but that isn't
Right.
the one that I'm thinking of.
So that will conclude. You have the final word there, David. This edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For Zach, the Duke, Super Dave, I'm the Nighthawk, and until next week, everyone, remember, as always, you don't have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for now.
See ya. Go Blue
Adios.
Devils. I think that game's at Duke, although I'm not positive. Yeah, I was thinking that is that.